Hello and welcome to the Street Crime UK YouTube channel. Please don't forget to like, share, comment and subscribe. Today we take a look at a man who had an unhealthy obsession with David Cameron. A man who burned down an elderly widow's house after mistaking it for David Cameron's was detained under the Mental Health Act. Joseph Steed, who was 35, had intended to petrol bomb the ex-Prime Minister's house in the village of Dean near Witney in Oxfordshire, but struck the house next door, a judge had heard. It is understood that Mr. Steed, a paranoid schizophrenic, had made homophobic allegations against Mr. Cameron and printed out pictures of his home. A judge at Oxford Crown Court ordered Mr. Steed to be detained in a secure psychiatric hospital under the Mental Health Act, saying that there was a risk to the public. It was heard how obsessed Mr. Steed touched the wrong house after setting fire to an almost £800,000 farmhouse belonging to an 82-year-old woman who had been staying at her son's house at the time. He was stopped by the woman's son and grandson, while the police later found searches for Mr. Cameron on his computer, sentencing the arsonist to a Section 41 hospital order with restrictions. Judge Nigel Daly said, "I consider that there is a real risk that if he is released from hospital, if he is not under the day-to-day care of persons who can make sure he takes his medication as appropriate, that there would be a risk to the public of serious harm from him." Prosecutor Jonathan Stone said that Mr. Steed had travelled from his home in Wellingborough, Northamptonshire, through Aylesbury and Oxford to the village of Dean near Chipping Norton. Checks on his computer showed that he had searched the internet for the village where the former Conservative leader lived. Mr. Stone said at around 10 PM, Mr. Steed was seen in the village of Dean, swigging from bottles of alcohol. At 10:30 PM, he called the fire brigade, telling the call handler about a fire in the village. A neighbour also called 999. The fire report found the blaze that had gutted the house was started by a petrol bomb thrown through a downstairs window. The remains of a bottle of spirit and a petrol-soaked rag were discovered at the house. In a victim impact statement, the owner, a widowed farmer's wife who had lived in the property since the 1960s, said the news had been broken by her daughter shortly after midnight. Summing up her feelings when she heard of the fire, she said, "Murderous, furious and shocked that anyone, regardless of their feelings, could do such a thing." The house had been valued at £800,000 before the fire, with the plot now only worth half of that amount. She had lost personal memories of her late husband in the blaze, as well as family photographs, her books, and a collection of croquette squares she hoped to make into blankets for her great-grandchildren. Judge Daly heard that Mr. Steed was arrested at the scene whilst making bizarre racist and homophobic comments about David Cameron. The arsonist leader told psychiatrists that he had gone to Dean after reading articles online. The fire was meant as a threat to Mr. Cameron, but he did not intend to cause him any harm. Mr. Steed, formerly of Wellingborough, admitted arson being reckless as to whether life was endangered. He had no previous convictions. Mitigating Graham Blower said that his client had been receiving treatment for paranoid schizophrenia at the psychiatric unit since his arrest and was responding well to the treatment. He had shown an insight into his behaviour. Judge Daly commended Mr. Steed for taking the help he had been offered, but raised concerns about the potential for him to stop taking his medication if he were released into the community. Thank you for joining us today. What are your opinions on the crimes committed by Mr. Steed? Do you agree the judge did the right thing by sentencing the arsonist to a Section 41 hospital order with restrictions? Or do you believe a determinate sentence should have been given? Please let us know what you think in the comments below. Thank you for joining us today. If you enjoyed this content, please don't forget to like and share. And if you're new to the channel and you want to see more Street Crime UK content, hit subscribe and press that bell so you can join us on the next video. Thank you for joining us, and until next time, stay safe.